This individual realized he picked the wrong house to enter when at 4 a.m. UFC star Anthony Smith was awoken to strange screams in his home. Get out! Get out now! This intruder was screaming at the top of his lungs, and Smith quickly confronted him. Knowing that his wife and 3 daughters were also in the house, we can see from this Ring doorbell footage from another house. This stranger also entered that night that he could very well possibly be having a psychotic episode. That could be one of the only explanations for how this stranger was able to hold his own against this UFC star. Smith later said, "I'm by no means the baddest dude on the planet, but he's a regular Joe and I had a hard time dealing with him, and he took everything that I gave him." In the end, skill prevailed and Smith was able to subdue the intruder until the police arrived and took him into custody. I think what's most terrifying about this incident is considering the psychotic state of this stranger. Who knows what he would have been capable of that night if there wasn't a UFC star there to subdue him. Mountain lions are known to stalk their victims. Published in September of 2014, YouTuber Sophia Zhang wrote, "During Chris's 2014 summer mountain biking adventure, a mountain lion stalked him, and in this video, you can see how he handled the hungry mountain lion in the wilderness near Fernie, BC. In the video, a man is standing in a clearing with some tall brush, trees all around, and a dirt path. He claims there's a mountain lion in the vicinity, but for the first couple minutes, you have to take his word for it, because the animal is completely camouflaged, but at the 2-minute mark, you catch the lion creeping towards the man who is shooting the video. At least it's creeping at first, then it starts walking, and as it closes in, the man scurries backwards for a moment, then he turns around and the lion is just standing there in the path, looking calmly at him. He starts talking to the lion also calmly. He tells the lion that he's much bigger than him, and the lion doesn't care. He creeps into some bushes, and you can hear him growling. As the guy now shouts, 'Go!' The lion just creeps around the other side until he's in full view again. He stares the guy down, seemingly unintimidated by him, but the guy turns around and tells him to stay back, saying, 'I'm not afraid of you.' The lion then just turns around carelessly and plods away. Just another day in the forest. A YouTuber named Daz Games takes a Ouija board to a 300-year-old mansion to record whatever paranormal activity he can find. His girlfriend is on the lower floor when Daz Games feels watched, and this happens.
Is there anybody in here? That.
This sounds like a creepy noise that any old house would make, but the perfect timing means it almost has to be completely paranormal or completely made up. Then while explaining what he heard, Daz Games records this.
That was a definite.
This sound is much louder, more deliberate, and even harder to shrug off. It's as if the house is letting him know that yes, his suspicions are in fact correct, and something is in here with him. And immediately after this noise, you can see a ripple trace along his cheek, like someone is affectionately brushing a finger across his face. As a final test, they put chapstick on the Ouija board and challenge the ghost to make it move. I think I see Daz's girlfriend move the board though. Watch her fingers twitch at 15 minutes and 19 seconds.
Can you move it for us?
Ooh.
Fuck off.
No.
You're not even lifting it?
No.
Whether she did that on purpose or because of nerves is up to you to decide, but I don't think the ghost moved the chapstick. The other scenes, however, especially the finger across Daz's face, look real to me. Isaiah Harris published his sewer exploration in March of 2018. Describing it as the utter most scariest video that I've ever recorded yet. He went on to say, "I think it was mostly because of the position I was in, and how much ghostly things I heard and seen." The first clip shows Harris along with 2 young accomplices exploring the underground sewer during the daytime. They make their way along a tunnel to an area with pooled water, which has frozen over with ice. In a second video of the sewer exploration, Harris, joined this time by his brother and sister-in-law, shows how they entered the sewer by lifting up a big iron storm grate and crawling under. The tunnel is filled with graffiti, and they jump down from this initial tunnel to a broader area. A ladder is also positioned there, suggesting that this area is a regular stomping ground for exploration. They continue on, and Harris explains to his crew that there will soon be a ditch with shin-deep water, and there may be a den beyond, as he found evidence of people living there once before. The ditch area is filled with ice and a layer of snow over top. Harris jumps down, breaking through the ice. The other two decide to turn back because they think they've heard something in the tunnel, but that's when Harris looks deep into the tunnel beyond and decides that he too wants to hightail it out of there. After he claims to have seen something down there, they start to make their way back, but pause when they hear a growling sound. Harris also notes that there's a handprint on the wall. As they arrive at the exit ladder, they also hear tapping sounds coming from within the tunnel. They manage to make it out of the tunnel without incident, but one does wonder whether the creature within was human or monster. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Danny returns to a haunted chapel that has given him a bad feeling in the past. He is taking another look around when he detects shuffling in the next room over.
What the hell was that?
When he goes to check out the next room, it proves to be just as empty as the first. He doesn't see anything unusual and soon begins to record various plaques on the wall out of interest. Danny is looking over the names of soldiers when he casually sees something paranormal sticking out from behind a doorway.
Ah! Oh my god!
The scream in his throat sounds very real as he turns to find the unmistakable outline of a nun's head staring through him. It happens very quickly and it's hard to tell if it really is a ghost or not. Before you say fake though, first hear me out. The nun sighting happens at approximately 2 minutes into the video. Yet here you can see the doorway is completely empty at 1 minute 45 seconds, a full 15 seconds prior. The video appears to be taken in one continuous take with no editing, therefore I believe there is a strong possibility that this sighting is real. These contractors find themselves stuck on a roof after their ladder collapses, leaving them stranded 14 feet in the air with no way down. Soon they improvise a safety harness that looks to be little more than some cords haphazardly knotted together. I really doubt this design would realistically hold his weight, but let me know what you think. They are trying to figure out what to do next when they see something in the distance. Watch his feet closely and tell me if he looks like he almost loses his balance at the end.
There's a car! Come on! Oh, hey! Hey!
He carefully lowers himself to the bottom and manages not to break the harness. The harness appears to be very loose at the end and could have come undone at any second. They show the drop at the end and it definitely looks like they were high up enough to cause some serious damage. Exploring with Devin is a YouTube channel full of mini adventures and gaming vids. This time Devin is biking along the side of the road when he sees this creepy old abandoned house waiting to be explored. Soon a full-grown adult appears in the overgrown front lawn and questions him while walking forward.
What are you doing in here?
I just wanted to explore.
What are you stealing?
No, I just wanted to explore.
No, you stealing?
He accuses Devin of taking from his property. Even though it looks like there is nothing worth taking, who knows what would have happened if he reached Devin, or how exactly he plans to search him. Once he gets a good distance away, Devin says that he didn't take anything, and that the man is trespassing anyway. The property looks abandoned, but the man does check his mailbox while he is out there, so he either does own this property, or has completely lost his mind. ever tried to poke a thread through the eye of a needle? Well, that's basically what bus drivers do on Needles Highway in South Dakota. This video is not for the claustrophobic. Highway 87 near Rapid City, South Dakota, and Custer State Park earned its nickname due to its narrow, single-lane roads, deadly defying twists and turns, and of course, the needles, which are narrow granite tunnels that vehicles navigate. That is, if their drivers have got the guts. The tunnels were created by blasting through mountains, forming walls of sheer rock on either side. Believe it or not, some buses attempt the crazy feat of driving their big hauls through the narrow tunnels. These drivers show no fear as they prepare to undertake a Mission Impossible level task of weaving down this dangerous road while also looking out for falling rocks. Just watching makes you hold your breath in anticipation. But never fear, slowly but surely, this particular driver succeeded with only inches of room to spare on either side of the tunnel. Thomas Gilmer runs a computer store and often buys old computer equipment from his customers on the cheap. This time he gets a computer at a bargain price, and when he pops open the cover, he immediately understands why the seller was so quick to part ways. The inside is covered from end to end with the remains of thousands of dried up cockroaches, and to top it off, a single living spider crawls across this disgusting bug wasteland.
Look at that.
According to the description, the smell of the computer was just as repugnant as the site itself. All I know is that Thomas better hope that none of the bugs were alive and managed to scurry away. A single living roach could go on to infest this building as easily as it did this previous owner's home. 4 kids in Iraq go looking for trouble in an abandoned school, and they find it. The whole thing is on film as the boys explore the derelict building, making their way from stairwell to classroom. Everything pretty empty and creepy enough as it is. Then they enter yet another seemingly empty classroom, where they run into the headless horseman of the apocalypse. The ghost appears out of thin air as they scan the room with their camera. It marches towards them. There's also a chanting sound that seems to be emanating from the ghost itself, but is actually more likely to be coming from the call to prayer at a nearby mosque. Still, it's everything you'd want in a haunting. The scariest thing about it is that the boys don't even seem to notice the ghost. They don't scream, they don't react whatsoever. Some YouTubers believe the so-called ghost is just one of the boys who ran to peek out the window, and the backlighting caused this headless effect. But if you rewind the video, the camera scans the area prior to the ghost sighting, and there's no one there. Rather, the translucent figure seems to appear straight out of the wall. This small outpost, known only as the Black Mailbox, is one of the many classic mysteries of Area 51. It is actually 2 containers stacked on top of each other as shown here. One day while filming the Black Mailbox site at random, a nondescript white car with heavily tinted windows pulls up and unlocks it. They totally ignore the fact that they are being recorded, which is something all personnel from Area 51 seem to be trained to do. Meanwhile, whoever is recording decides not to approach any closer, most likely because they thought it was a government vehicle on official business. The camera person sticks around for about half a minute longer before presumably getting out of there fast. A YouTuber named Big and Blonde is checking on a Ouija board that he and his friend left in the woods not too long ago. Something chased them out of the woods the last time they used it, and now they are returning to properly end the ceremony. Not even broad daylight could keep their fears at bay as they come across the same spot as before. Something feels extra wrong about this section of the woods, and moments later they see exactly why.
Oh my god, run, run!
A figure dressed in black and white stomps down their way and sends them running. As they flee, the screams of what could be a girl's last moments on Earth fill the forest behind them. I guess this person could just simply be one of their friends, or it could be some kind of supernatural force conjured by the Ouija board. If it is the latter, then I could only imagine it will grow stronger with each passing day. until the session is ended once and for all. I want to know what you think about this interesting paranormal video posted by Darkalooz. First, 2 pieces of his overhead vent fall off, but when it happens, the camera freezes. So is this an electronic interference from spirits, or is it poor editing? Next, this chair turns all by itself. It's by a window and behind a table, and therefore far out of reach. Perhaps eeriest of all are these 2 legs with no upper reflection. You would logically assume this is Darkalooz recording, but if it was, as one commenter points out, then where is the rest of him? Exploring with Darknet is a YouTube channel dedicated to recording abandoned locations in all of their various forms. This time the group finds themselves inside of a large building that looks to have once been a manufacturing plant of some sort. While checking out various pieces of rusted machinery, they can't shake the feeling that they are being watched. Distant phantom lights follow them and snuff out randomly. On the second floor they come across a room that appears to be strewn with heaps of garbage and adult diapers. At one point they come across another room containing more trash and a woman's right shoe. The left one is nowhere to be found, so perhaps there was a struggle here. If you can translate the writing on this wall, please let me know what it says and also what language it is in. It might give us some clues as to exactly what happened here, and maybe even make some sense out of what happens next. They then come across a final room on the second floor, with a dirty curtain draped across the doorway. They take a peek underneath and are greeted with a final scare. Listen closely again and you can hear someone screaming behind them as they pursue. Their wails echoing off thin corridor walls. This dashcam video was taken in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it shows a tiny bipedal creature scurry across the road, not even as tall as the concrete barrier on the right. It looks pretty good until you look down at the feet and notice that it's gliding across the road and not taking real steps. So in my opinion, I think it might be computer animation. What do you think? A paranormal investigator named Paravent posted this video of their daughter, who they think may have attracted a spirit of her own. She raises the camera to show nobody is in there, and the corner is indeed empty. But when she thinks it's over, the spirit lets her get through just a little more of the song, and then moves the chair again. The chair isn't fully visible, so it could be staged because anybody could have moved it at the bottom, but when I first saw this, I thought it kind of looked like someone was pulling up a chair to hear her play, and that was before I read the many different comments saying the same thing. So is this fake, or really someone watching from the other side? This doll room is said to be quite haunted, and you're about to see why when this tassel starts moving by itself. It looks like certain portions of the covers move by themselves, as indicated by their square motion boxes, but it's actually just this woman who is moving in her sleep and easy to miss. So either this is fake, or the combined paranormal energy of all these creepy dolls is enough to get this ornament to move. These friends travel to an abandoned church in Wales that gives all 3 of them a sinister feeling before anyone steps foot inside. It may have been nice when it was first built, but with ivy growing up the side and dirty water pooling around the foundation, this church looks corrupted, the perfect place for spirits to roam.
That is proper evil looking church.
The inside looks trashed by partiers, cans everywhere. They think they can hear faint church bells in the wind, but unfortunately nothing picks up on camera. Still, the feeling that they are not alone only grows more persistent with every step, and as they cross a large empty room in ruins, commenting on how evil it feels, they do pick up 2 anomalies.
But it looks evil. They've done, dare I say, a really good job of like securing it though.
I'm almost positive that the first anomaly was a lens flare caused by light coming through the window, but the second sighting, the shadow person, is much odder.
Really good job.
I would say that this is his shadow, except there is no lower half, so it might not belong to anyone in the group, or anyone alive for that matter. Two friends are walking around the haunted Matlock Cemetery in Iowa when they see something possibly watching them from afar, a white head that's barely visible behind a tree.
This is scary.
Did you see that?
Oh my god! What?
Did you see that?
What was that?
They aren't sure what it is until they go up to the tree. It was behind and get a closer look, or should I say it gets a closer look at them.
Oh my god! What was that? Oh! Oh!
Here it is again, a man wearing baggy clothes and a possibly white mask, though his face is too blurry to tell. I don't know if this was a maintenance worker, one of their friends, or a genuine creeper looking to do them harm, but I do think they made the right choice getting out of there, and I hope for their sakes they never went back. A mysterious creature sighted in the woods of Makanda, Illinois, has residents wondering if this video is real or fake. It looks fairly convincing upon first glance, but some parts are questionable, like how this looks more like a boot than a foot when it steps out at 22 seconds. At 23 seconds, it raises its back leg up high like a person would. I think if its legs were really that big, then its footsteps would be much heavier and closer to the ground, but maybe I'm wrong. This man is all bundled up, and yet what's being reflected in his sunglasses leaves him shuddering. A bony face follows him no matter where he turns, its gaping mouth crying out without a word. The reflection of his arm does go in front of the face at 30 seconds, so maybe it's the way something's hung on his wall. I wish he would have flipped the camera to show what was in front of him, then maybe we would know if anything on the wall was making that creepy face or not. Jared Costa hears this eerie buzzing noise over his Southern California home at 5 in the evening. He looks above for helicopters but sees nothing. Take a listen and tell me if this sounds like a helicopter or not. I think it sounds like nothing of the sort, but at the same time, I don't have a better explanation to offer. Commenters from Palm Springs to La Mesa all claim to have heard the exact same noise. Years later, the noise remains an unsolved mystery. Michael Luongo catches a shapeless form floating around his basement that he can't explain. You can see it best during the first 5 seconds of the video, when one half stands out against the steps. It's also barely visible in the reflection of the television here at 10 seconds. And when Michael turns back at the stairs, it's already gone. I'm thinking that there might be something wrong with the camera to make this blurry object appear, but then again, it does happen to be floating right above this access panel behind the sofa, so maybe Michael should open it up and see if anything is waiting for him in the wall. This slow motion video captures a man peeling around a corner as fast as he can, and soon you see exactly what has him moving so fast. A gigantic cheetah literally bounces off the wall in pursuit. The video ends before we exactly get to see what happens next. Maybe this cheetah really did come in straight from the jungle, or maybe it was kept as a household pet until one day it simply snapped. Whatever the case may be, I doubt it ended well for the person running away. Then again, I have no idea why he would just happen to have a camera set up to catch this event perfectly, so maybe it was scripted after all. Let me know what you think is going on here, and also tell me if you have any more background information that can help us put this video in better context. Todd T captures a large humanoid-looking figure going down his neighbor's chimney. He's too far away to pick up any discernible details, but the creature looks to be far too large to be a bird or pretty much any other animal. Whatever this is, it looks to be the size of a human. The mysterious creature stuffs itself down the chimney in less than a minute, at which point I'm guessing it roams around the interior of the home for whatever it can find. What happened to Todd's neighbor is anyone's guess. YouTuber named Jason L is rock climbing with his friend Kevin when they come across a narrow and claustrophobic crevice. Not wanting to get left behind, Jason follows Kevin's lead, but his resolve weakens considerably about midway through.
Kinda wishing we didn't come in here, Kevin. What?
I'm pretty terrified.
Barely 10 seconds later, Jason takes the worst step of his life.
Oh no.
Here, give me the camera.
My foot's stuck. My foot's stuck. I'm so serious, I can't move.
After some initial panic, he steps out of his shoe and manages to dislodge it. After some effort with both hands, look again and you can see what would have happened if Jason L had tripped and fallen forward. Instead of stepping out of his shoe, it's a sharp drop down a series of spiky rocks that could have easily resulted in shattered bones and an emergency airlift. These friends are hanging out at the end of a cul-de-sac when one of them, named Robert, loses his skateboard down a deep sewer grate. Most skaters would probably call it quits then and there, but Robert forces his way through the grate and soon becomes just as stuck as his board. They all laugh and make jokes as they wait for rescue workers to arrive, but as you can see by this nervous nail biting, the situation is much more serious than anyone is letting on. Firefighters are unable to pry open a nearby manhole cover. Thinking fast, they send a line down for Robert to grab and eventually fish him out that way. After the whole ordeal is over, one of the men explains that Robert is lucky to still be alive.
You know what's down there?
Not really, probably a lot of diseases.
Yeah, well, not only that, but there could be like chemicals that could kill you like that, dude. It's a sewer. You know what I'm saying?
This calm and professional explanation will hopefully make Robert think twice if this ever happens again. Carly Gum is a YouTuber who learned the hard way what happens when you stick your tongue to a pole in freezing weather. Eventually, she is able to rip her tongue away from the surface, leaving a red stain behind. I hope she is okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if her tongue needs medical attention by the end. A YouTuber named Frollo Moto is dirt biking in a random field with his friend Trevor when they see trouble ahead.
We gotta go! There's a truck here.
A black truck attempts to cut them off at the pass when they try to escape. Clearly, the driver wants to get them off their bikes however he can, and doesn't seem to care if they break a bone or lose their life. They both cut through some fields and eventually get back to the main road, quickly agreeing at a stop sign that they should head straight home. But then, just when they think they are safe,
he's chasing us! Take the trail! Take the snowmobile trail!
the truck spots them again and the chase is back on. Frollo Moto and Trevor head full speed towards a narrow plot of land meant for snowmobiles. When he looks over his shoulder, he sees the truck is too large to squeeze through. They are safe for now, but hopefully the driver doesn't get out and follow their tire trails, because it basically leads straight to their home. Raptor125 puts on a GoPro cam and takes his dirt bike out to make a YouTube video. It isn't long before he sees a familiar gray truck, the same one that chased him away from this area just the other day. He is only riding for about 2 full minutes when he sees the same truck again, much closer this time. Fearing for his life, Raptor125 speeds out of the neighborhood and onto a dirt track, the gray truck on his tail the whole time. Not even sharp turns at high speeds are enough to get the vehicle off him, and Raptor125 has little doubt that this person has the worst intentions possible waiting for him if he slows down. If he falls off his bike at this moment, for example, then there wouldn't be enough time for the driver to swerve out of the way. The chase only ends when a farmer watching the whole thing stops the truck. Otherwise, who knows how far this chase would have gone. 2 scientists poke and prod at the body of a short, round-bellied humanoid with sharp features and a wide frown. They seem to follow a number of scientific procedures and pull out internal organs one at a time, weighing them on what I think is an old scale. The full video of this procedure is not for the squeamish. Everything looks very clinical, so I think this video has a good chance of being real. A UFO appears to burn in midair as it stalls directly over Area 51, in front of plenty of witnesses. I think this video is probably CGI, because the smoke almost looks like it could be a looping animation. But if anything like this were to ever happen on Earth, Area 51 is where it would most likely take place, so I'm not entirely discounting the legitimacy of this video. This Area 51 video appears to capture no less than 5 bright lights traveling in a tight cluster. It kind of looks like the government could be testing military-grade flares at first, until the lights mysteriously stop in midair, hover for a bit, and then move in the exact opposite direction. These sophisticated flight patterns seem to suggest that they are piloted by intelligent beings. At the 1 minute mark, all the lights grow intensely bright and almost meld into one solid form, at which point a smaller piece breaks off and moves upwards. This looks like no aircraft that has ever existed before, and as far as many are concerned, it can only be one of 2 options: a top secret government prototype, or else actual aliens. On January 15th, 2013, YouTuber Mr. Hutch117 posted this strange sound heard in the forest.
I wouldn't be out in like that.
Where did it come from? We're in the middle of nowhere, the man filming asks. The man believed it was coming from up above somehow, though it also seems to come from every direction. He and his hiking partner had just heard a noise that was a bit off-putting. He decided to turn on his phone's video to capture the sound if they heard it again. Halfway through the footage, you can hear why they were concerned. The sound sounds off again, and it seemed like the guttural laughter of a demon.
Maybe it wasn't 2012, it was 2013.
Then comes on a deep and echoey wailing, something that's not human, not animal, not anything known. Well, viewers think it must be fake because the people in the video aren't reacting much to the frightening sound. Others suggest it could be related to the mysterious trumpet-like noises heard worldwide, and some say it could be the US government project HARP. What do you think it is? This Area 51 video shows a hunched over life form that looks to be either resting or deep in thought. It stands up after a while and begins to curiously study its surroundings. Maybe it was in fear at the prospect of being captured and taken here to this barren research room, and now it's slowly coming to its senses. Overall, this video is low quality and could be CGI, but if it was really taken in 2008, like the top left-hand corner says, then this is probably how a live stream video would have actually looked back then. If you fear snakes, you might want to hide under the covers for this one. YouTuber Falcon X-Ray published this footage in November of 2015 with the description, "Just started cleaning the pool for summer, came home and found a snake having a swim cooling down from the heat. The snake looks to be about 4 feet long and is quite thick. The snake is shown circling the pool's edge, probably trying to find its way out. Once or twice it does creep its head up the wall of the pool, but it doesn't make it very far. While the snake's slithering movements in the water are creepy enough, one wonders if this breed is poisonous. What kind of snake is it, whatever the monster is?" The uploader said that he built a cage and kept it. Don't know if I'd want to keep that thing in my home, but I'm sure he's happy with his new pet. Night Owl 2007 published this video of a creepy sewer creature in February of 2018. In the video, some guys are walking along the road at night when they stop at a big heavy manhole cover and proceed to enter into the sewer. They remember how scary the sewer is, long dark tunnels, loud echoes. In order to see how deep one of the tunnels goes, the crew cracks a neon stick light and, turning off all other light sources, throws it into the tunnel. The tunnel must be deep, but the depths do terminate, as you can still see a tiny pinprick of light in the distance. As they're playing around with the neon sticks, the camera catches a skull-like face peeking over one of the crew's shoulders.
I don't think you're throwing out enough light here.
What do you think?
What the?
It looks like a ghoulish mask leering behind him, but when the guy moves out of the way and the cameraman casts his camera beyond, there's nothing there. Needless to say, the entire crew springs into action, racing out of that sewer like no one's business. There is a roaring sound at the end, echoing as they jet out of the tunnel. We can assume they made it out alive, otherwise we wouldn't have this video to show for it. State-run buses that run through Hamashal Road, Transport Corporation or HRTC are known to have some of the most treacherous bus routes in the world. Unpaved, muddy, and wet roads are just the beginning. There's also the landscape, mountainous and threatening. Here's just one of those routes, captured on camera. On the route Manali to Kannur, the ride is slow going as the roads are wobbly trenches in the mud. In this video, you see a train of buses precariously rocking back and forth as they meander alongside tall piles of snow, rugged mountains towering in the background. The large buses don't look so much like they're driving, rather they look like they're hopping. The cravats in the muddy road are assumingly frozen over, resulting in a jackhammer of a ride. And while the cliff edge on the right hand side of the buses don't appear to be a clear drop off, it's safe to say that one small overcorrection in the mud could potentially send a bus rolling down the mountain. I'm going to play it safe and steer clear of those routes. It's a cold, dark winter's night. You're walking down a snow-packed road, street lamps the only source of light to guide you. It's silent as the grave until you hear this noise. Published in February of 2013, Matt J describes what he captured on video: weird creepy squealing noises coming out of a manhole drain cover in Switzerland. Emanating from out of the manhole cover is an eerie, otherworldly noise, melodic and high-pitched. The noise sounds like some kind of call, lasting for a couple seconds with a pause between each mysterious address. The call goes on continuously, maybe even interminably. What could this sound be? Is it code for something? And what in the world is making the noise? Of course, YouTube doesn't disappoint when it comes to theories. Suggestions range from a person in the sewer to a screaming rat, to Pennywise of course, but the most likely explanation comes from a YouTuber who offered up his expertise, saying the sound is coming from the flow regulator system. Fair enough, but I'd still like to think that there's something sinister sending messages through our sewer system. Though there are plenty of strange noises caught on tape, this one is as scary as it is mysterious. Published by Jimmy Dillard in June of 2013, Dillard left his camera in the forest to capture deer. Instead, he captured some strange screaming, grunting, and rocks being thrown at his camera. While Dillard thought it might just be children playing around or a homeless man disturbing the forest, we'll never know the truth because the source of the sound and disturbance never appeared on camera. In watching the video, you can hear a bellow echo throughout the wilderness, almost Tarzan-like in nature. Later in the video, you hear tree branches breaking. Then one of the most chilling noises is that of a growl or a bark. The thing sounds human, but not quite. You can hear whatever it is clamber through the leaves and branches. The whole video is quite unsettling, almost more upsetting, because you can't see the source of the sound. Although from the sounds of it, the creature must be very near. You expect it to jump out at you at any moment. I've been hiking and camping since I was little, and I've heard just about every animal in Georgia, but I've never heard anything like this, Dillard wrote. One thing to keep in mind is that elk and moose don't inhabit this region, but could it be some other animal? Which leaves us to wonder, what in the world is residing in this forest? If you're like me, there's one thing apart from sharks that you were scared of when swimming in any pool as a child: the pool drain. As it turns out, we weren't worrying in vain. The 18-year-old lifeguard in this video is trapped by the pool drain and held under to the point of becoming unconscious. How did this happen? The lifeguard dove into the water to retrieve a kid's goggles that were dropped at the bottom of the pool, and when he reached his arm into the pool drain, it reached back. He couldn't get his arm out of the drain. Pulling and tugging, he was quickly losing air and probably hyperventilating, making him lose it even faster. When the other lifeguards finally realized that their friend hadn't come up yet, and in fact was motionless at the bottom of the pool, they jumped into action. One of the lifeguards cleared the pool, while the other dove in to save his colleague. He tugged and tugged, trying to get the arm to release, but it wasn't moving. The rescuer swam to the surface and told the other lifeguard to call 911. He then tried again to release his colleague from the drain, to no avail. When he came up for air again, someone said to turn off the pumps. The drain was acting like a suction cup on its victim, pulling mercilessly and not letting go. A single lifeguard's power is no match for this vacuum. So that's what he did. He turned off the whole system, but he was still unable to free his colleague, as the pump was somehow still in force. When a paramedic arrived, he dove in, and they were at last able to free the lifeguard. The guy was underwater for about 6 or 7 minutes, but after performing CPR, they got a spontaneous pulse. They transported the lifeguard by helicopter, where he began seizing. His brain was swelling, but medication was administered, and he fell into a coma. There were no signs of brain damage when he regained consciousness. While this footage is a Rescue 911 reenactment of what actually happened, and a dated one at that, it is scary and reminds us that there's no doubt that pool drains can be dangerous. They can even kill. Wild animals can be incredibly dangerous, even animals that look as slow and non-menacing as moose are. YouTuber Azeroth6390 discovered that in June of 2007 when he published this video, writing, "My dad and my grandfather were trying to chase a moose into the forest because it was in a village scaring people. What happened next? Well, see for yourself. The moose is wandering in the forest, and you can see a man and his dog head towards it. The shot cuts to 3 moose running along next to a home, presumably being chased off by someone, while a dog nearby the man filming starts barking. That's when one of the moose has had enough. He clambers through the trees towards the dog, and the man filming the man lets out a crazy bellow, so the moose thinks better of it. Also, he seems to be having a tough time getting through the thick bramble. The moose retreats, and the man filming says, "She tried to get us," in his native language. Moose can be very dangerous in terms of behavior. They're not as aggressive as bears, but their population size means you are more likely to be injured by one than you are by any bear. According to How Stuff Works, in Alaska alone, moose outnumber bears nearly 3 to 1, wounding around 5 to 10 people in the state annually. That's more than grizzly bear and black bear attacks combined. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to feel the power of the weight behind those antlers. This one is fairly subtle. You may be distracted by the offbeat choreographed dance by this school group, but if you pay attention to what's going on in the background, you'll be sure to see something that will give you chills. As the girls dance, watch the back wall. Something suddenly streaks past, a shadow of a hunchback perhaps, scuttling across the backdrop and disappearing on the other side. The problem is, there doesn't seem to be a light source or anything to project the shadow onto the wall. For another thing, if there was a light source from the front, the girls' shadows would have been projected on the backdrop as well. The thing, whatever it is, also seems to be gliding in a strange way, rather than running past to avoid blocking someone's view. The whole incident is very strange, and the only thing to do is watch the video over and over again and wonder what in the world the creature could be and if there was evil in the school that night. Enrique Ortiz published this video in February of 2015, writing, "I filmed this a few years ago when I was walking across Central Park. One evening, just west of the Bethesda Fountain, on the 72nd Street Crossway, I heard really loud screeching coming from the sewer, and I decided to film it with my phone. In the background, you can hear joggers running past Ortiz, and although he doesn't know what the sound could be, he notes that it was quite vicious and loud." The high-pitched screeching coming from the grate sounds a bit like a pig squealing. It certainly doesn't sound like alligators, as suggested in the video title. The screeching is prolonged and agonizing, leading many in the comments section to agree that it's definitely a sewer fight of some kind. Some thought it might be a fox, raccoon, or possum. My guess would be a rat duel. What do you think? Malaysia shows a girl with long dark hair that seems to hang over her face, obscuring her features. She is on a floor of a multi-level school building, and she leaves the room on the right hand of the screen. Walking slowly along the outer walkway, a railing to her left, she touches a couple of the windows and then continues on, walking off screen for a moment. When the camera returns to her, she is still walking slowly, her hair hanging over her face. It seems that she's breaking window panes this time, just smashing her hand into them. The sound echoes in the courtyard, and those across the way holding the camera exclaim. She walks lazily back and strikes a strange, languid pose. Looking at her handiwork, she breaks another window, swaying back and forth, then looks out to the left, across the way, and points at something or someone. The uploader claims that this girl is possessed. Don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be in the vicinity of this strange acting student. Split Sides published this hypnotically creepy video, Olho da Água River in Bonito, Brazil. In February of 2018, the area had experienced heavy rain, submerging the jungle and allowing for these beautiful and somewhat unnerving views of a mysterious underwater forest. You can see tree stumps, branches, and bridges submerged. According to the video, flooding at this level has happened at least 3 times within the last 16 years. By the day's end, the water receded to a normal level, but it does make you wish you could experience something like this. There's something very beautiful and still about the mysterious atmosphere the flood creates. Some kids, flashlights, a tunnel, and the darkness of night. These ingredients never fail to be a recipe for disaster. Published in December 2012 by Timothy L. Shebu, a group of kids decide to enter a sewer at night with nothing but flashlights to guide them. They should have expected what came next. They crawl into the depths of the tunnel, waiting for the creature to make himself known, but when it does, you wish it hadn't. The figure springs towards the boys and all mayhem breaks loose as the entire group tries to scurry out of the tunnel at once. When they do finally break free of the tunnel and its creature, a sigh of relief washes over them. Many viewers of this video feel the same way. The Potato Llamas wrote, "Reminds me of when there's a spider hiding under a rock, and the second you lift it, it runs at you. But what was this thing crawling deep in the tunnel?" Some think it was a monkey, judging by the noises the creature made, others special effects. I don't know what it is, but it's made me want to stay out of sewage tunnels at night, or at any time really. A YouTuber named Victor Curry 30 is having a cake eating contest with oversized spoons. When one of them gets their utensil wedged deeply inside their mouth, they all find the situation somewhat amusing until they realize there's no easy way to pull it out of her mouth.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
What is especially troubling is how they have to shove the spoon even farther in so they can get the right angle for removal. It looks like she comes awfully close to not being able to breathe here. Published in October of 2011, the YouTuber wrote in the video description, "I found where the creature has been hiding, along with my dead cat." What creature? While searching his property, the original uploader found a sewer or a drainage pipe, which is where the video begins. As he's walking towards the drain, he only brought his camera and a knife. What does he need a knife for? We'll soon find out. He enters the tunnel, and you can't see much inside apart from his bright headlights on the walls, but then again, as the light shines ahead deeper into the tunnel, he seems to catch a brief glimpse of a creature standing there. Two bright eyes gleaming in the darkness, he races out of the tunnel. He explains that his camera died as he was hurrying home, the sewer being a quarter-mile deep in the forest. For some reason, he decides to head back the next day to explore the tunnel again, in the hopes of capturing the creature face to face. This time he enters the tunnel through the opposite side, where the stream is coming out. Inside he finds the skull of his cat. He also finds what he believes to be the creature's nest.
That's my cat. That's my cat. I think I just found this place's nest.
So what do you think? Is this creature indeed alien or some other known life form? Unless we know what sewer this YouTuber is exploring, we cannot move forward with verifying if this footage is legitimate. A YouTuber named Manny Motard is riding his motorcycle through the city when a random person mocks him in the intersection by pretending to grab two imaginary handlebars. When Manny checks his rear cam, he is surprised to see the man wildly chasing after him. The pursuit continues for over a full city block. Exactly what the stranger's intentions are remains unclear, but it's obvious that this complete stranger is trying to chase them down one way or another. He doesn't look to be in his right mind, so it's a good thing Manny got away. With the video title, Doberman vs. Mailman, I think we're all expecting there's a dog at this street address who is really tired of seeing this mailman, and today it's going to deliver him a final message of its own to stay away. The mailman slowly approaches. Clearly, he's dealt with this Doberman before, but as the Doberman isn't doing the same slow approach, he quickly turns around and is soon being chased, running for his life. The dog catches up quickly and appears to snatch something from him and heads back to the house. The mailman's demeanor switches from terrified to looking like he's having a fun time. So maybe he was in on this from the start, or maybe he's happy the Doberman didn't try to snatch an arm or leg instead. When you're dressed in nothing but a bathing suit, you're at your most vulnerable. A deadly animal is the last thing you'd want to face in swimming trunks. Now, what about 3? That's what families from the suburban area of Pasadena, California found when they looked outside into their pool one afternoon. They saw that an entire family looked back, an entire family of black bears. The mama bear and her 2 cubs had found their way down into the city from the San Gabriel Mountains. It was there they decided to take a swim and have a nibble of food from the dumpster. The mama bear was estimated to be around 300 pounds, while the cubs were said to be less than a year old and healthy. It's not unusual at all to see bear activity, a spokesman said, but it's unusual to have them in the pool. The 3 bears had attempted to break into a home first, but they were either distracted by the swimming pool or were terrible burglars. Onlookers phoned the police and a news helicopter flew in to take some footage of the bathing bears. After eating from the dumpster, they came upon another neighborhood pool and decided to check it out too. But before they could get to the pool that was just right, a local dog stepped in to save the day, chasing them out of the area. The Sheriff's Department, together with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, joined to track down the bears. As cute as these bears are playing in the water, black bears can be very dangerous. Unlike grizzlies, when they attack, you can't trick them by playing dead. They will just keep coming at you, and worse, you have no escape because black bears can pursue you even up a tree. You don't want to mess with these animals, and you certainly don't want to go swimming with them. If you're afraid of heights, you'd better close your eyes for this one. The sky pool at the Market Square Tower in Houston, Texas is leaving nothing to the imagination. At 500 feet above the ground, the pool offers terrifying below-foot views of the busy roadway 500 feet down. The sky pool has a glass bottom, allowing swimmers to see what it feels like to be a flying fish, as the video, uploaded by NYC Yank in Texas in January of this year shows. When you swim out towards the edge of the infinity pool, you're walking on air, 42 floors above street level. One of the developers told the publication Paper City, "We thought it would be an attention grabber, and it has been. Hopefully it doesn't grab swimmers' attention too much. Wouldn't want them swimming over the edge, 42 floors up." In the winter of 2012, this YouTuber was almost a goner when a mother black bear decided to charge at him, not once but twice. Speed shooter XT was hunting in this Oregon forest when he encountered some bears nearby and began filming. The bear starts off by keeping her distance, but ultimately begins charging in his direction. The most scary part of this entire video is the look on the mama bear's face when she begins approaching, played in slow motion. The man managed to scare the bear away by being loud, and shortly after, she charges towards him again before the video ends. Luckily, this YouTuber got away safely, considering black bears can run up to 40 miles per hour. So if the bear did chase him, he wouldn't have standed a chance. Published in June of 2008 by Damian Black, the shadow people of Emerson County are caught on video, causing havoc in the forest. According to Damian in his description, the first reports of these creatures occurred in 1957. In his own words, in August of 1997, roughly 2 miles from where original reports originated, a video camera was found and turned into local authorities. What they saw on the old tape was scary, mysterious, and remains unexplained to this day. The video shows some grainy footage in the forest. At first, there's just trees and brush, but after a moment, the cameraman says he's heard something moving. Zooming in, you can vaguely see that something, a translucent form of a figure as it moves through the trees. It's difficult to tell if it's a man, animal, or something else, but it does look like a shadow figure. At first, it seems perfectly docile, and then it screams. The pair run, but it's unknown whether they made it out of the forest alive. That terrifying sound may have been the last thing they ever heard.
Don't start going. Stop! Stop! Please go! Put on the brake! Guys, stop!
A bus driver in Alfred, New York was accused of drinking and driving and was given a 90-day jail sentence. The event was caught on camera after 56-year-old Martha Thompson was ordered by students to stop operating the bus, an order that was ignored. There were 37 students on the bus after Thompson took them at a 70-mile-per-hour clip through their journey, hit a mailbox, and even started rolling backwards down a hill, as can be seen in the video. The older students tried to convince Thompson to stop, but she was defiant. They kept insisting that she was not okay and should turn off the vehicle. When she continued to refuse, they accused her of scaring the small children on the bus, which she was. When she also refused to open the door, the older kids took matters into their own hands and began shepherding the students out the back door emergency exit, while Thompson repeatedly shouted, "You can't get off the bus." Thompson's defense attorney said she never ever would intentionally put any of those children in any type of risk. The fact that my client has no criminal history. No one was injured, but this has been a really good thing because it's turned her life around, and now she's getting the help that she needs. While it's all very well and good that the driver is getting help, her blood alcohol level was 0.15. The DMV notes a BAC of 0.04 for commercial drivers can result in a DUI or DWI conviction nationwide. She's incredibly lucky that no children were harmed in this incident of negligence. Ever wish you had supernatural powers? Well, this video supposedly shows a Thai girl who discovered she did. When she was driven to anger at a bus stop, the video, shot in Thailand, begins with a girl smack-talking someone as she leaves the bus. She is being held back by a friend who remains quiet. The girl continues to point and exchange some heated words with the driver, who steps down from his post to return fire. Spectators watch from the ground, and others hang out of windows to witness the exchange. The shouting match continues in Thai with plenty of pointing and aggression. Another guy tries to intervene. He shouts at the girl and goes to slap her, but before he can, he is thrown back by a supernatural force. The spectators scream. The origin of this force seems to not be the shouting girl, but her silent friend who stood behind her. The quiet girl then steps forward and points her hand out, palm forward, and the bus driver flies up the side of the bus before dropping to the ground. The girl looks at her hands in amazement, as though this is the first time she's realized she has these scary supernatural powers. Everyone is quiet and staring at the girl. She turns in a circle, puts her hands out again, and a table and chairs fly backward. The bus driver yells at her, and she makes him fly into the air again, and even her friend backed away and won't come near her. The video ends with the girl looking down at her hands, collapsing to the ground, shaking and screaming shrilly, while the footage appears all too real, with no strings attached. Many in the YouTube comments call it out as a fake. YouTuber Pei Pina says, "I'm Thai, and Thai people like to make dramas with superpowers like this." While Jacob Zamet notes, the biggest flaw in this video is the fact that no one else is talking while the argument progresses, letting the main characters in this film be heard as the girl and the guy take turns. He also notes that video cameras or cell phones with video components, and it's unlikely that someone who just levitated would have another go at the person who just did it. All good points. Still a scary and intriguing video. You kind of wish it was real. Thank you so much for getting me to 20,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 30,000 subscribers next. Thank you.